You said something not that long ago that got our attention.
Right.
And that was about the Patriots, that you said everyone kind of had to get over them cheating because you said that they weren't cheating.
Right.
What makes you convinced about that?
Well, I worked there for a year and a half, right after I got done playing in the NFL, and one of the things that jumped out to me right off the bat was I could not get over the rule follower that Bill Belichick is. I mean, literally, if we bet $5 on the Masters, who's going to win the Masters, he would put the kibosh on it right away. So he's very into the NFL guidelines and making sure those are followed. Now, there's the Spygate issue. Sure, did he do that? Yes, the New England Patriots. But there was other teams in football that were doing it as well. That they did it to get back at the Jets. And at that time, I don't think it was definitively written in the rule book. Now, Deflategate, that has nothing to do with the New England Patriots. That has to do with the quarterback number 12, and that's it. So I think a little bit, hey, people are going to always put them under the microscope because they're the best franchise in football for the last 15 years. And those are really the only flaws you can find, so people continually try to beat it down. I don't think it's fair. Bill Belichick's the greatest coach in the history of football, and I'm not sure it's even close at this point, especially this day and age. What he's doing is pretty amazing.
What makes you think you were pretty convinced with Tom Brady that he was doing it on his own? What makes you think that he was?
Okay, well, so, I mean, if you take my dad's 15 years in the NFL, I played 8 years. My brother's in the NFL for 3 or 4 years now. At no point have I ever been around a coach or a quarterback or in any NFL setting where the conversation is about the proper inflation of the football. Like, Jon Gruden never came up to me on a Wednesday practice and said, hey, what are you thinking about putting the balls at this week? You go at 13 and a half or 14 PSI? That's all on the quarterback and how he prefers it within the rules. And the ball boys know the rules. I'm sure Tom Brady knew the rules, but that is specifically an issue that he would go, hey, I want a little air to the football. I like it a little less than blah, blah, blah. And in this case, they went below the legal limit. Tom Brady's still awesome. I got mad at Tom Brady because he didn't need to do it. He won the MVP last year in the Super Bowl with the proper inflation of the balls. He was certainly one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football this year with the properly inflated balls. So I think that's where I got most angry, just going, you're the man. You don't need to do something like this. Almost like Alex Rodriguez and HGH. You're 39 and you're hitting 40 home runs and you're clean. You didn't need to do those things.
Did you have a preference when you played?
I really did not care. I was actually I would rather have the ball pumped up a little bit more. Now, I would never go within the limit. I was always right in the middle. But like when the ball boys would ask me, hey, you know, how do you like the football? So I was like, I don't care. I was more about the grip of the ball more than anything. The leather, the actual laces, because they're all different on footballs. It's not like a baseball where it's exactly the same every time. So some footballs have a better leather or a better lace than others, and that's really all I was concerned with.
You mentioned Jon Gruden. Obviously, you played for him for a while.
Right.
And things got a little touchy, especially over your whole issue. How are things between the two of you now?
Oh, they're great. There's a while ago I reached out to him and just made sure. It was actually, I was still playing in the NFL, so it's 5 or 6 years ago now, but I reached out and just said, hey, I had a lot of great times with you. We did a lot of cool things. We spent a lot of days together, and we still text to this day. It's part of business in football, and I had gotten a serious injury. I was making a lot of money, and I'm sure they weren't sure if I was going to be healthy, and they were kind of trying to run me out of town, and I thought it was a little unfair because they didn't give me a chance to kind of heal first to show that I could be back to the normal Chris Sims. So that's where our rift kind of started. But I'm over it. I understand it's part of the business, and I learned a lot of football from Jon Gruden.
And I know your dad's obviously going to be calling the game, and there's been a lot of fans, a lot of Twitter hate about him calling games and everything like that.
Right.
How do you deal with that, just when you see it?
Yeah, well, I don't go on Twitter. I'm not one to really look at all the social media things, even though I work for Bleacher Report, and that's what I do. I don't really know where it comes from. I don't think people really know my father. He's a lot cooler than people would realize. When he's on a broadcast, he's respectful. He's respectful of the players, the teams. There's nobody that works harder than my dad in that business. I don't understand the criticism. It pisses me off when you get me talking about it because my dad, here we are, Super Bowl 50. He's not even going to come into San Francisco all week. He's staying down there because he wants to stay focused on the game. He's going to both teams' practices every day, and he's going to be all over the nuances of the game. So if people, and of course he's incredibly connected. So I don't understand where the hatred's from. It's my father and Joe Buck. They have the greatest telecast ever. people seem to not like it no matter what. And I could tell you that Phil Simms and Joe Buck are about the two coolest guys you can meet in the industry when they're off the camera. But that's just the world we live in. We got a lot of know-it-alls in this world now.
Well, especially with Joe Buck, it's funny you mentioned him because that's one of his things, like on his Twitter, that everyone thinks.
That's all they ever talk about. That's all they ever talk about. Oh, I hate Joe Buck. I hate Joe Buck is like, if you let me have a beer with one of the announcers in football or sports, he would be my top pick. He's a cool guy who you could talk normal guy stuff with, sports, whatever it may be. But like I said, I mean, we got people, you know, in Ohio sitting there who haven't played high school football in their life. Now they're questioning Bill Belichick's play decisions. That's the world we live in, and it's fucking crazy. Sorry, I hope you're allowed to swear on your show.
Yeah, no problem. I also want to ask you, what do you think of the Texas program?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just glad they let Charlie Strong have another year. This is only his third year there. You got to let his players develop within the system. They're having a good recruiting class, it sounds like, here 2016. But I don't think people realize how bad the team was. And this is not a knock on Mac Brown. Mac Brown was phenomenal. He's one of the greatest coaches in college history. But at the same time, Mac Brown, that team had fallen off at the end. There was nobody being drafted in the NFL draft. The talent level had severely dropped. In fact, Louisville was the way more talented program the last few years over Texas. And that was because of what Charlie Strong had done in the recruiting trails. So I'm glad they're giving him a chance to let his plan play out.
Have you been in contact with him at all?
You know, a few times, text messages, had some friends, things like that. You know, I've been very supportive of him day one, and I think he's appreciated that. And I will continue to support him because I know he's a good football coach, and I really do believe he can get that program on the right track again.
Awesome.
Yeah.